Ferrari, okay? And you don't keep a Ferrari in the garage.
Hello, welcome to my super secret channel, Mind for Story. Today I want to talk about normalcy in chapters 14 and 15 of The Good Place. That's the first episode of season 2. That's 2 chapters. Everything that happens in these 2 chapters occurs across one day. So there's not a lot of time to really establish expectations, patterns, and create a sense of normalcy. So I'm going to say up front, normalcy as I have viewed it is the patterns and habits that are repeated. So this might be more about a lack of normalcy in this chapter. I guess we'll see. I'd like to start with how Michael and his demon actors are doing, because they have a sense of normalcy. Again, I'm already seeing it. We're going to have more of a lack of normalcy. I'm going to be talking about something that's absent, I guess. There's sort of 2 opposing views.
We're trying out the new butthole spiders.
Huh?
They're enormous. You know, good old-fashioned torture, the way it's supposed to be.
There's the view that Sean has, and that seems to be shared by all the rest of the demons, that there's nothing wrong with good old-fashioned torture.
We're all here because we believe that there's a better way to make humans miserable.
And now, Michael's view is the newer view. It's the view that is in opposition. It is not the normal for them. And it's that, good old-fashioned torture is easy, and he sees a new way, a more interesting and fun way to torture humans. We get a surprising number of references to what these demons would consider normal.
You know, my main job is to burn people with fire.
And because so they've done 1 round of this Michael's way of torture. Presumably there could be the foundation for a new normal, to go with this new type of torture. But because there's new actors in play and they've changed just enough things, it's not quite working this time. For instance, Chris, when he's told, come up with excuses to leave whenever Eleanor tries to talk to him.
Tell you something, just soulmate to soulmate.
Hold that thought. I'm gonna head to the gym.
He just keeps saying the same thing over and over again.
How many times have you specifically told her you were going to the gym?
5. No, 9.
And now, because I talked about repeated patterns, it would create the sense that it is normal for Chris to say that he's going to the gym all the time. But it's hard to convince Eleanor that it's normal that somebody would go to the gym that often, even dead. So what I think is sort of going wrong there, Michael's, some of his actors that he's put in more lead type roles, they don't seem to have a good grasp of the idea of improv or improvising. For instance, when he tells all of them to go find the people that they're supposed to be pretending to be the soulmates of, they all keep showing up, saying and doing the same thing.
There you are. I've been
Let me stop you. Can I guess? You've been worried sick about me.
I'm headed to the gym.
And to the point where Eleanor calls them on it and does it as Chris is about to say it himself. I guess a question I've had while thinking about it, why won't Michael give Vicky a bigger role? Because she was genuinely good at this sort of work. And she's definitely, in the past, seemed better at it than Chris seems to be, at least. But then I'm considering just in these chapters, we see that even Vicky is making some choices that aren't great. Like trying to have a limp.
Are you limping?
Yeah, I am. Crazy story. See, I was a trapeze artist in an illegal circus in Bangladesh.
So I don't know. Maybe this might be just an ableist sort of point of view. Maybe if somebody had a disability in life, they would maybe choose to keep it in the afterlife if it felt comfortable or it had something to do with a sense of self. I don't know because I've never had one. So I don't know, but it seems like even Vicky is coming up with bad ideas. So maybe that's why it's not just that some of the demons are good at acting and some of the demons are bad at acting. Some of them are better at improv, some are bad. It's that all of them are just missing the old ways except Vicky, who seems to she wants to be a shining star. So one of the unfortunate sort of things that I think are going to become normal over the course of these 800 something rounds of, reboots. I think we're going to see Michael's treatment of his demon actors is as it's laid out in these chapters. I think he's not being a good leader. He's sort of being an asshole.
Ding dong. Okay, we can still salvage this. Where's Eleanor?
She's gone. I can't find her anywhere.
All right, but like in this clip, so if I imagine that I'm Angelique, all I think is he's so condescending. Michael is so condescending, and why does he think he's too good to do straightforward torture? Whatever. Oh no, he's looking at me. I need to make my face blank because I don't want to lose this part. It was so boring being an anonymous person in the first version. All I want is to get to make cheating miserable because that part is fun. Okay, I'm gonna act like I care. I'm gonna sound apologetic. Wait a minute, why am I answering for where Eleanor is? I'm supposed to be working on cheating, not Eleanor. Wow, is no one else going to speak up here? I'm feeling frustrated. I can grudgingly admit that there is something exciting about this new form of torment I'm inflicting, and I'd like to get back to that rather than sitting here and being told off when I did my part perfectly. Yeah, so I think this is just one day of Michael being this way, because he seemed a lot kinder, a lot more open in the first round than he is this time. Now the pressure seems to be getting to him. Yeah, but he's not being good, he's not being an inspiring leader. And it's really no wonder that there is eventually a coup. And he has to hand over, or he makes them think that he's handing over power to Vicky eventually. And we're also seeing a new normal for Michael, which is lying to Sean.
So attempt number 2 is on track so far?
Oh, smooth as silk. Everything's great.
Because he starts rebooting a lot. And after Michael makes that choice, he sets this new path. And part of this path is lying to Sean. Because Sean told him he only got one more chance. And he's taken a lot more than that. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about the demons.
From the second I got here, these nerds have been acting real weird, trying to get me drunk.
This time around, Eleanor is aware that too many people at the party are trying to urge her to do something she normally would do. She would drink too much at a party. And that makes her suspicious as to why are they trying to get her to drink. She's very suspicious about why her soulmate goes to the gym every time she tries to talk to him. The thing that is normal and consistent for Eleanor is her issue with remembering anyone's name.
I put this note into that whatever lady's robot mouth.
You already forgot her name.
We saw that with how she couldn't remember Chidi's name in back in season 1, the first episode. And we see it over and over again in the various reboots that she doesn't always get his first name right either. In these chapters, she can't remember Janet's name. And also, just after meeting, she can't remember Bart's name.
Bye-bye.
This line, it makes me think of various ways people say goodbye. Things like, bye-bye now, or like, bye, in ways that are really communicating, like, a feeling of dislike or disdain. It sounds almost like the person is actually saying go away or get rid of it, or ew. At the very least, it communicates an I don't like you. And I know I'm not great at saying goodbye myself, I'm one of those people, I would rather shout bye at a crowd than talk to everyone individually before I leave. And also, I just don't know how to end conversations in a polite way. I don't know. Maybe I could just say, I feel like this communication event has reached its conclusion, but I don't think that it would work. But I'm kind of feeling like I'm going to try it just to see. Because I'm curious, maybe the other person or the people that I say this to, maybe they'll be relieved that they don't have to keep talking either. So anyway, Eleanor is disputing the idea that what's happening is normal. And one of the things she cites is when a monk gave her this thing. It's a gear, or like it's part of the bicycle. I think that's a bicycle gear.
Chidi? Are you Chidi?
And my question here, why does Jason respond by giving Eleanor this piece of bicycle? And honestly, I think to him, her question was basically a non sequitur. It made no sense to him. So handing her what he had in his hand felt equally sensible to him by comparison. Not to mention it had the added benefit, he thought, of preventing his soulmate from quickly repairing his bicycle and coming after him. So really, I was thinking about that. I think it was just, none of this makes sense to Jason. This person is saying things at him, and as soon as he handed her the piece, she didn't go, no, not that. So it was enough for him.
It's very common to experience adjustment pains.
Jason, Chidi, and Tahani are sort of just outright being put in positions that are miserable. And then Michael is telling them that this is going to be their new normal. How they're going to spend all the rest of eternity. He goes so far as to tell Tahani that there are often growing pains, and the system is always right, which is such an insidious thing to believe.
I'm sorry, Chidi. All the great philosophers in history ended up in the bad place.
Chidi is told all of his heroes are in the bad place, which they are in this story, but it leads to Michael sort of in a roundabout way saying that Chidi is a better person than his heroes. That he is better than the philosophers that he learned and based like his whole worldview on. And then Chidi gets dropped in a situation that causes him so much stress and the stomach aches. He's told that there are 2 possible soulmates for him. And it's just as he's made a decision and vocalized it, then he's informed that oh no, we fixed it. Your soulmate is the person you didn't pick.
Stomachs and knots, some stress grinding my teeth, and it feels like my soul is being suffocated, just your standard paradise stuff.
One thing we do know that is normal for Chidi.
I used almond milk in my coffee, even though I knew about the negative environmental impact.
He very much blames his drinking of almond milk for how he ended up in a bad place. This is something that we hear over and over again. This is his normal assumption.
Would you prefer to remain silent here as well?
Jason is back to something that was normal for him during the first attempt, which is the vow of silence, the expectation that he's just going to not talk to anyone.
Because you'll always be right next to each other for eternity.
And then Michael essentially explains that what Jason can expect to call his normal for the rest of eternity. Some of the normal things for Tahani, she's obsessed with height.
It's just an unfortunate Freudian short.
It's something she referred to often enough during season 1, mostly about her own height, but it was clear that height mattered.
So why did you attend medical short?
In fact, size in general sort of becomes central to the issues Tahani is struggling with this time. Everything is too small, her soulmate and her house. We know when she says something to Michael initially, he sort of shames her into saying that she's being ridiculous.
Ever since I got here, it feels like something's been off.
But she later pushes back and says that things have felt off because this is supposed to be the good place. And she doesn't feel good. I want to acknowledge Tahani real quick. She returns Eleanor's sash from the party after she had some behavior that kind of was and kind of wasn't normal for her. But anyways.
That's okay. You can just keep it.
No, I don't deserve it. I made a complete fool of myself tonight. I interrupted your big speech.
I want to say because so when I was first thinking about it, I realized that I wrote in my notes that Tahani did this voluntarily, and that was sort of part of why it stood out to me. And a few video or two ago, I was saying, like, I was sort of questioning why we think more highly of people who do things voluntarily. So I spent some time thinking about it more, and this is sort of what I feel about it after really examining Tahani's example here. So when Tahani comes to return the sash, she doesn't really apologize for what she did, but when she returns the sash, she is actually sort of removing the work from Eleanor that maybe would have fallen on Eleanor. Because now there's no reason for Eleanor to think about the incident or to decide if she wants to confront Tahani, because Tahani already removed that potential labor by taking the initiative and bringing her the sash. She is basically presenting her the chance to, confront her if she needs to yell at her if she needs to. She's not leaving the work in Eleanor's court. And I think that's what I most appreciate about this. Now, Eleanor is actually more concerned about other things right now, but if the only thing that was weird about what had happened that night was what Tahani had done, she might have been stuck with some sort of uncertainty over whether or not to do or say anything in response, if she should act like nothing happened, or any other number of things. And when somebody does something to us, I don't know about you, but I mean, how often do we get emotional because we don't really know what to do with it now? How much time do we spend just fretting over, well, should I say something? Should I just get over it? But if you think, so if I was in that position, somebody had just done something to me, I know that this is going to be my future for I don't know how long, is worrying and feeling things about it. But then that person came and apologized, or came and made the first move to address it. It creates a lot easier of a setup, because you can forgive them or choose to not forgive them. You can let it go because it's already been addressed. It's not unresolved anymore, essentially. And any further mental or emotional energy put towards that situation on your part is now really your choice. So yeah, I wanted to acknowledge Tahani and anyone else who voluntarily comes and apologizes or, addresses a situation after they've made a mistake just as soon as they can. When you do that, you do diminish the potential for ongoing discomfort. And really, my wish for you is that others follow your example on this and also act quickly in the wake of their own mistakes and blunders. But really, they nailed the first time around what Tahani would accept as normal if she's told she's in the good place. We saw that all throughout season 1.
You booped me.
I did. When I think about this, I'm sort of, throughout this whole story, it's because of the word you, there's sort of an external focus amongst the characters throughout a lot of the story. Like Chidi's focus on what Eleanor does and says. And then later, Chidi and Eleanor is concerned about what Jason does and says. Eleanor is focused early in season 1 on proving Tahani is phony. And throughout all of season 1 and this first part of season 2, Michael and his team, their focus is entirely about how to prod the humans into feeling bad and to get them to do certain things so that they can do the parts of the first time that worked really well, which I think is one of their big problems. They're not just responding to what's actually happening amongst the humans. Later, Michael and Janet try to guide the humans when they have their second chance of life down on Earth. When that gets blown up, those 4 humans, Eleanor, Chidi, Tahani, and Jason, they try to guide their family and friends toward better lives so that maybe they can get into the good place. During the test in the final season, they try to get everyone to improve through their various manipulations. And right at the end, Eleanor tries to convince Chidi to stay in the good place when he's ready to leave. And as part of trying to be ready to leave herself, Eleanor convinces Mindy St. Clair to enter the system for a chance to get to the good place. Yeah, what I'm seeing is that when it comes to external focus, the objective shouldn't be control. Help or acknowledgement for others is, such a wonderful thing to be able to provide or offer. But when it comes to control, you really only get to control yourself. All right, my takeaways on normalcy. Normalcy seems to have a lot to do with context. The things Michael was trying to convince Chidi, Tahani, and Jason were normal wasn't working because they were told they were in the good place, and it's unlikely anyone will ever believe another person is going to the gym as often as Chris claims, no matter how muscular that person is. So context impacts what we believe as normal. And normal is often about, like I said toward the front of this video, it's about repetition or habit or frequency. It's not actually about good or right, the way it sort of gets used a lot in normal conversation. Normal. In frequent conversation when you hear the word normal. It's normal for people to slouch. It doesn't mean that it's good for their back. That's a real life example. If someone says they feel normal, does that tell you anything about whether they feel good or bad? It tells you nothing other than that person often feels exactly the way they feel right now. It's not a value statement. If someone tells you it's normal to experience something, it means that it happened to lots of other people as well, not that that experience is good or bad or means something good or bad is happening. My big takeaway overall thought is normal is overrated. Like you've never heard that one before. There's so many things that get excused because it's normal that don't make lives or the world better and in fact actively make things worse. Maybe next time if you're hearing something as normal or if you're using the word normal to describe it, maybe take a second and try to trade it out for something a little more specific that actually is meaningful. Just my thought on that. But I hope you enjoyed this totally normal video that I didn't just sprint through the script of, and that you have a lovely day.
I've never seen you before in my life, but I think somehow that we know each other.